Hey everybody, welcome back to What the Helvetica. This episode we have Danny Allen Page, who is an agency owner, former pro footballer, influencer, efforter on Instagram. Built an audience. You have 61,000 people on Instagram.
Join Mike, Janda, and guests to discuss the things that make creative people say, "What the hell, Vetica?"
You went down the rabbit hole of Reels for a bit and then went back to agency life. We have a lot of journey to talk about today, and we're glad to have Danny here. He's a good friend of mine for years and years. I've been a client. I've been a coach with him. I've been a friend. Like I've fulfilled all of the roles that you could have in a relationship, and he's just a great person. Excited to have you here. Danny, thanks for coming.
Janda, thanks for having me, mate. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How you been?
So fun. Okay, so your new agency, let's just start where things are great.
Yeah.
Your new agency, you scaled from 0 to 3.5 million in 5 months or 3.3 million in 5 months.
Oh my God. This is how I know I'm dyslexic when I write stuff, because I wish. No. So basically what happens is we do partnerships now, right? We focus in on partnerships. So we get percentage of profit share. And one of our main clients, we scaled from 0 to 3.5 mil, and we get a percentage of that.
Even still.
Amazing. I mean, I would like to take the claim we've done that with the new agency, but less braggadocious.
It is awesome though. Okay, so going back in time, you had the agency Gravity 7, and then last year you decided to make a push into coaching and mentoring and building up your influence on both Instagram, and you did a little bit of trickle in YouTube during that push. And then you went back to agency life, and you and I haven't caught up since that transition. So tell me about what happened there.
I've always been... So, as you know, when you start creating content and you build your personal brand, you always get people wanting to work with you. And, what is it you offer? Can you help me? And I had always had my agency running, and I hadn't really found the right combo of that agency model. I tried to do, the cookie cutter, rinse and repeat model. We tried to do a percentage of ad spend model. We tried to do a program. We tried to do so many different things, right? All the time I grew my personal brand. I was always getting people asking me, can you coach me? Can you mentor me? Can you do this? So being the entrepreneur mindset, let's do it all. I've always just said yes. So let's try and do coaching. Let's try and do a low ticket thing. Let's try and have the agency running. And I just find it really bloody hard, especially the coaching. And the reason why I found it hard is because I am someone that is I don't want to say overcommitted, but I overinvest in relationships. So if I coach you, I get really invested in the outcome. Same with my clients. And it is actually a blocker for scale, to be honest with you, on both sides, because for example, with the coaching, I started worrying more about what the clients were doing on their businesses and neglected my own agency because I'm trying to do both, and I don't have all the team built around me to help me do that. So I just found I was just splitting my energy between coaching, clients, team, husband, kids. I couldn't do it, mate. I just couldn't do it. So I just put a pin on the coaching and the content, as a matter of fact. I just completely stopped both. I think the old me would have beat myself up. The new me, which is this year me, as we like to do, was just like, no, fuck it. I've just got to be better at saying no and just go with my gut and stick into it for a longer period than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that's what I've done. And to be honest with you, laser focused, it's actually been a massive, massive turning point especially for the agency. So that's where I'm at. Like this has been good.
To put your mind at ease on that, I didn't even try when I was running my agency. I didn't try and build. I wrote my first book while I was running my agency, but that was it. And when I launched the book, I didn't do any big marketing push or anything. It just was on store shelves, and I was like, okay, let's let it be. And it was out for 5 years before my agency run was over, and I didn't ever make a push. So I get the wearing too many hats thing that you did, because I didn't even try it. Like, I was so stressed about the idea of it, I didn't even try it. So kudos to you for even going down that.
I actually remember on a coaching call with you, we had a coaching call, and I mentioned about creating a coaching program, and you was like, don't do it. Straight away, don't do it. It's like, get your agencies to a certain, how many years ago was that? Maybe 2 years ago? It's got to be.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it. Get it to a certain point, get to a certain revenue number, get a certain team number, then come back and do the coaching. Yeah. Didn't listen, obviously, but I didn't listen. But I'm one of those, I have to kind of feel it. I'm one of those ones that have to feel the pain before I learn, which is can be quite painful.
The reason for that advice is that you were you finally had the team set up. You had your SOPs in place. You had your offer crafted. You had some success with some of your clients that you were working with. And for me, my perspective on you was like, okay, you did the hard work. You have all the things in place. The foundation is there. All you need now is to just let it generate the return for all the effort that you put in to get it to that point. And that was why I gave you that advice at that time, because you were sitting on the goose that can lay the golden eggs, and you got the goose all fat and healthy. And then the idea was, I'm going to go work on a different goose somewhere.
I actually might send you the snippet where you actually kicked my ass. You're being quite polite here. Janda doesn't really get, you kicked my ass. It was one of the best polite slaps I'd had, because you was like,
oh, that's good to know.
You've got the horse. You're just washing the horse. You're feeding the horse. Ride the friggin' horse, man. And you was literally battering me. I was like, oh, this analogy went on for about 5 minutes. I was in the end. I was just like, I get it, Jared. I get it.
I do use the horse analogy sometimes. Yeah.
Man, that whipped my butt. It was such a great one. I always remember it. It's like, just ride the horse. Yeah. So I'm riding the horse now. I've simplified the model. I looked at what was working, what wasn't. The clients, I think sometimes you have to be real with yourself and understand what your blockers are. One of mine has always been team, like scaling team. I've always struggled with it. Letting people go, hiring. I've just really always struggled. So my team's always been really small. So for me, it was like, okay, well, what's the most profitable clients? And why are they the most profitable, and how do we get more? And they were partnerships, they were ones where and listen, we kissed a lot of frogs. Some didn't work, but I've kind of got a model now that works and is scaling like crazy, but not with team. I'm literally doing the same work I might have done for you, but I'm getting paid 10 to 15 times more,
Oh yeah, that's great.
So,
what's your team size now? I know you had your main partner, who I know I won't mention names because he's not on here, but do you still have that core team?
Yeah, so I've got core team of 5, and then I've got 10 contractors that we use. I've taken on full-time graphic designer. Yeah, so we're growing. Nice. I'm adding based on what the client's partnerships need, as opposed to just hiring for hiring's sake. I'm not doing that anymore. Because I would actually look to scale my team if we had an office, because we don't have an office. Yeah. Remote team building, and I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Yeah. I find it hard.
It's hard because you can't really build a team culture. No. Yeah.
No. We meet twice a week in London. We do meetups and we have fun. We go out for dinners and stuff like that. But online, if it was just on remote, I don't understand how people do it. And there's big companies that still do it, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I have an agency that I work with that scaled from 0 to 23 employees in 7 months. And they had this just crazy growth thing happen. And it's all remote. They're all remote. And they're full-time, salaried, high-paid, top-of-the-line people, but it's all remote. And I'm like, man, I was afraid of that model. I'm still afraid of that model for the sake of creativity, because there's so much creativity that comes from sitting next to the person that you can bounce an idea off of. Mm-hmm. And then they bounce it back to you. And then all of a sudden this communal brain comes up with the great idea. And when you don't have this in-house, in-agency team, I wonder how you can replicate that through a virtual team or a remote team, like some people do, and they do it and they're effective at it. I just would have struggled with that model.
Yeah. I think that and productivity as well is like when we meet up, we get so much done and it's so quick and there's synergy and it's fun. Yes, there's bonuses of working at home in your own, you can get some, good solid work down, but ultimately it's not the same. Like it's not, I have actually thought about getting an office, but because we've been introducing so much organic content into our services now, which is really cool, combining organic with paid, which is what I always believed in. That I want a studio. I want a big fuck off studio that have like really good shoots in, create some disruptive content, podcast setup, and an office above maybe. That's what, if I'm going to get an office, that's the only office I'm getting.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Don't lose that vision, because I think that model still exists. And how many of your people are local to London for you?
Not many, actually.
Yeah.
Not many. I'd probably have to build out another team, like I probably would. The videographer, maybe like 3.
Couple people.
Yeah. So, which presents another problem. But that is the long-term play for me, I think. That's a long-term play. Because we've got a couple of contracts at the minute where we're going to create some really disruptive ads. Like, like what was it? The Dollar Shave Club. $1 Million Shave Club, where they do that.
No, Dollar Shave Club is what it is. Dollar Shave Club, yeah.
Right. Yeah. They're the type of ads I want to run with budget, do the creative side, then do the ad side. And just tear the roof off.
Yeah, Sabri Subi is doing that kind of stuff. That kind of those kinds of ads for his stuff. Yeah,
his agency. So we want to do it for like companies that are boring as hell and do some disruptive content and shake things up, because then we can just plug in all the other stuff that we know, right? The nurtures, the funnels, all of that jazz, and so.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into a little bit of juice here. Why are you even freaking doing this at all? Like building an agency or running an agency, scaling an agency is emotionally traumatic, and it takes a certain type of person that will do it, that will actually go for it and do it. What do you think it is for you? Like, why are you wired that way to actually want to even do it? Because it's traumatic, man. And I know you've had the trauma.
Yeah, stressful, very stressful.
Yeah.
But the simple answer, it wasn't a choice. As in, like, I didn't go, right, I want to be an agency owner. I fell into marketing. I fell out of sales and fell into marketing and enjoyed it. So, when you first start a business, it's typically based on what you're good at, your skills. And I was weirdly good at generating leads for businesses, and I just literally fell into that. And what I get the most enjoyment out of is creating something from nothing online and it make money. I just there's something about the buzz of that. It's like you could have I could step into any business right now and I can confidently say that I can make the money. And that's an insane, maybe it's ego, I don't know, but that's what I love to do. Now, the stress that comes with that, the problems that come with it, I'm fighting fires, especially at the level that I'm doing it now with these partnerships. I'm ultimately a partner of their business, and I'm fighting fires every single day. But the way I look at it is, I used to do this for gyms and get paid £750 a month. Now I'm doing it for finance companies, getting paid 70 grand a month. So the bigger the problems, I don't mind the pound to ag ratio, right? But at that level, when it was 30 gyms, £750 each, I was burnt out. I was hating. That was tough. Now it's not so bad. I can take those problems on.
If you're getting paid 70 grand a month, all of a sudden that ointment feels pretty good, and it's plenty to put on the wounds of the trauma of trying to grow and run a business. The stress is there, but you've got like this nice soft ointment of revenue that you can rub on the stress.
It does help. But the thing that I would openly say to anyone that does have an agency is, and I know people say this, look to solve problems for clients that have money. Because trust me, I know you should. I've worked with clients at all different levels, and the ones that are willing to pay the most are the ones that are 9 times out of 10 the easiest to work with. And I've learned that the hard way, the hardest of ways. I literally have been serving clients at next to nothing, and you just I find it a lot better. It's more fulfilling anyway for me doing it that way.
So
might not be for everyone else.
I would say that's for everyone else too.
Yeah,
it's so
you had some massive clients, man. You had some
and then they knew how to be clients. They knew how to be clients because they were more senior in their capability. They had a better understanding of production processes and business decision making and things because they were positioned in bigger businesses. They were qualified for those things. When you work with these small companies, every once in a while, you'll get a really entrepreneurial, business savvy, young entrepreneur that you can work with. And that can be great, even though their business is small. But a lot of times you're working with people that are struggling to understand business decision making and struggling to get their business working and worried so much about the bootstrapping of their business. They feel like everything is leveraged against this, and sometimes it is. So every decision becomes so stressful and scary to them. That can be a challenge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So how do you find the bigger, better clients? How did you go about that? You fell into doing an agency at all, you say, but how did you fall into landing some of these higher ticket clients?
I was just thinking about that as I said that, because it might just come to, I'll go and get some bigger clients, but it's not as easy as that, is it? Sometimes, or is it? I think I've earned my way to it by doing really well for other clients. So again, going back to how I got into lead gen, I was on the phone selling high ticket salesperson, right? Company went bust. I literally lost everything I had. I went from big house, R8s, Harley Davidsons, you name it, to sleeping in a 2-bedroom flat with my missus' mum. And then I was looking at how can I got used to a certain amount of income, but I really didn't like high ticket sales. I genuinely hated it. It made my skin crawl. So then I looked at, how was we getting the leads that we were calling on the phone? And that's when I learned about Google ads. And I literally just used to sit on the phone with Google every single day trying to learn what this thing Google ads was. That they hated me. I literally would spend hours. I'd call them back. Then I built a landing page. Honestly, I would literally just sit. You can't do that now. You can't get through them. But back then, you used to be able to get a rep and they would just explain things for you all day long. And I learned how to generate the leads, and I would sell the leads back to the type of companies that we were working with, like investment companies, so really high ticket. So luckily, one of the companies that I done lead gen with, we become really good friends, and I scaled their business from 100K online to, I think now they're around about £35 million in the last 5 years.
Wow. It's awesome.
And what I've done over that time is I kept, because of the partnership deal that I had, I kept integrity with that relationship. So one of the things they asked for was exclusivity, which is a big thing to ask for. But I was like, right, I will give you that. I won't with any competitors. And weirdly, what that did is it made everybody starving to work with me in that kind of space, because they hear about how well the company's doing. They then want to work with me, but I'm saying, look, I can't. So they I kind of have created a reputation without even knowing, just by doing a good job. So long-winded bloody answer, you have to do a bloody good job for a company. You have to get in there with one, because other good company owners and directors at level know others. And that's the only way I can tell you. You just need to get that one and do a bloody good job. Yeah.
You have to stay in the game long enough to find the one. And this is what I see sometimes too, is that people go out, they have a low quality client or a low end client, a low paying client that you mentioned, gym owners you did work with. But these gym owners that you served for all these years, they know somebody. And if you only have that audience to serve and you do a good job for them, even at a low price point, the word of mouth grows, because now you have referral access to their entire network. And when you stack together, you take 30 gym owners in London, and I guarantee that one of them at least has a good friend that is in a decision-making position at a high-quality client. And you open up access to that. And I think people working with smaller clients have to remember that you're always like 1 degree removed from a better opportunity. So don't just throw away the small businesses that you can currently attract. Do a great job for them and see what happens over the run of your career. I didn't have a freaking 6-figure project at my agency until year like 8. We were 8 years into it before I had a 6-figure project. And I had a lot of 5-figure projects. In fact, our average was 5 figures, but I didn't break that plane until a lot of years into it. And then once we did, we started having more and more, and they started getting bigger and bigger. We finally hit that tipping point, as Malcolm Gladwell says. You hit a tipping point somewhere. But a lot of people, I don't think they stay in the game long enough to let those things happen. They just give up somewhere.
Yeah. I think when you like, there's a couple of things you said, there's like doing a good job, like regardless of the client. Just because I had gyms and it was stressful and they didn't pay me a lot, I always still I still did a good job, right? I was only fortunate because COVID hit that I lost all those gyms, because I might have still been trying to serve gyms. Who knows? But that's what jumped me into building my personal brand on Instagram. But you're right. Like, you got to stay in the game, stay consistent, which is probably one of the hardest things, right? Like, this is the hardest thing.
When the numbers aren't good.
Minging.
And you're like, I'm so tired. I've been at this for 3 years and I still am in serving low paying clients.
Yeah.
What do I do? Those are hard moments for sure.
When you had your agency, what was the point where was it a revenue amount? Was it like a staff amount? Was it a certain client you got? But when was the point you was like, yeah, this is it. Like, I'm doing well. Like, I'm doing great.
I never really got there. I thought so. The first couple years, I was just like grinding freelancer, afraid of my own income need, and so I was just working tons of hours and saying yes to everything and just grinding it out. And then I finally hired my first person just out of pure necessity. It was like I could not go any longer on my 80-hour weeks. And then it became easier to hire number 2 and number 3. And then when I had that 3 or 4 employee thing, that's when I started to look around and say, wait a second, this could be more than just me being this overgrown freelancer. I could be like an agency. And I started looking around at other agencies. I'm like you, I'm freaking competitive. So I was like, wait a second. I just met that agency owner and I thought that he was going to be some kind of rock star, but he seemed just like a normal person like me. There's no reason that I can't have 12 employees like his agency. I started to get kind of that perspective. And then a year and a half later, I had 12 employees and I felt exactly the same. Now I was like, I thought I would feel like I was like something. And then I start looking around at agencies that have like 20 employees in a cooler office. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want. And once I get there, I'll feel like I made it. And then you get there and you're like, okay, well, what's next on this? For competitive entrepreneurs, I don't think that ever really ends.
No.
Like you see a Steve Jobs and a Jeff Bezos and an Elon Musk. Okay, Elon Musk made all the money he could ever want in all the world. So what is he doing now? He's freaking going to Mars, you know? I mean, it's like, where does it end?
Yeah.
I guess it ends when you start planning your excursions to Mars. That's when it ends.
It ends when he dies. It ends when he dies or stops and exits the game, right? I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think also it's a blessing and a curse because then, like, if you're someone like, I don't know if you're like this, but not celebrate wins, never live up to my expectations.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever good enough. It's brutal, man. It's fucking brutal on your mindset. You know, like I remember when 10K a month was the thing and I really wanted to get to it. And then when you get there, you just raise the bar and then you raise the bar. And then if anything, right now is probably the happiest. I don't like saying happy because happy is not a constant state. But I think it's the most satisfied I've been because the balance of work and my family. That's probably the only... But I could, if I stayed on this side, the work side, I'll keep raising the bar, which I am in my head. But in terms of satisfied, I feel like I'm the most content I've been because I'm here. I'm invested in my kids more than ever because I feel more present because I have the headspace to. Because I'm running around with 50 clients. I'm not doing that now. You know, I'm solving bigger problems, and then I can go and chill in there and just enjoy, which is a win for me.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I'm the most satisfied I've been in my career too, because I feel like the last couple years, I'm finally doing the actual thing that I was meant to do in my career. That all the stuff before building my agency and having that success, there was always something that was like, okay, this is great. And I love the success of it, but it wasn't satisfying to my soul. And now doing what I do and being on conversations like this and doing the coaching and mentoring and content and the things that I do, it's so satisfying. Like I love it so much. I love coaching people and seeing them go from, you know, the $600 projects to the $6,000 projects. I'm like, this is the greatest. It's the greatest, most satisfying thing for me is helping people achieve that kind of success. And then I just let the financial reward for me just come as a byproduct of just always giving and trying to be there and answer questions and help people along on their journey. And so I get satisfaction out of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I love not having 20 employees in this phase of my career too. Yeah. I love that.
Do you wish
I did my turn.
Do you wish you started the coaching earlier?
I wish that I would have started building my personal brand earlier, not the coaching, but I think that was a miss for me. I had a published book in 2013. I sold my agency in 2015 and I left the agency in 2018. And in that 5-year span, I didn't start producing content for social media. I didn't start writing more articles, posting, creating a blog. I didn't ideate what the next book was going to be and start writing it. I had this opportunity for 5 years to start building a brand for myself that I could take anywhere, and I didn't do it. So I do regret that.
Why
but the coaching side, why didn't I do it? Because I was in the throngs of freaking running a multi-million-dollar agency. So It was what I told you, man. I'm on the horse that I spent all that time nurturing into being this great racehorse. And now I was riding the horse and getting the reward of winning the races. I wasn't going to like jump off the horse and be like, I think I'm going to ride another horse now. I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, I think that's where my perspective was. But it is a regret because I could have gained the level of reputation that I've built over the last 5 years. I could have had that when I left my agency. After my buyout was done, I could have just walked out of that with influence already, and I really didn't. So I had to build it all. At the same time you were too. I mean, we were both in that Instagram carousel crazy
days. Yeah, man.
That crazy moment in time. And I love that group. I love that group of us, by the way. There's like probably like 30 of us that were all scaling Instagram at that same time and jumping, doing carousels and educating and stuff. And everybody was connected. Like everybody was friends and in the DMs. It was such a fun moment.
It was insane. I was lucky because I had a graphic designer that I'd hired at the time. And he was like, I think you should start creating these. And he sent me Dane's posts, right? And Dane was on 9,000 followers at the time. So I just DM'd Dane. It was like, Dane, can you create me carousels? And I just caught him at the perfect timing. It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And I just had, he literally was doing all of my carousels for me until 50K. And then I just worked on the relationship side. But yeah, you, Stephen Milner, there was a few of us that was like, it was amazing. Christos.
It was fun.
Great guys.
It was such a fun moment. I love it. And it was interesting too, because it was the COVID thing at that time too. So socially, those were all my friends. Like you were one of my best friends during that couple year era, just in DMs and calls and stuff, because COVID had shut down everything else. And so I feel that kind of like war buddy relationship with a bunch of those kinds of people. Like you mentioned Steve Meller, the same kind of thing. Like I can DM Steve right now and he'll DM me back in a few minutes. Because you have that level of connection, because you were the war buddies together trying to get through that moment of time.
Very true.
I feel that kinship.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. Yeah, it was a really good time. Then it went all real crazy, right? And then that's when it just it got away.
You gave a push. You gave a big push on Reels. So tell me about that, because I never fully embraced it like you did. So James Martin embraced it and figured it out and got a version of Reels that kept him growing. Steve Meller never really figured it out. He's at the same size that he was before. I'm at the same size that I was before. You were at the same size that you were before. So some people figured out a little nuance to Reels that let them keep scaling, but most of us stalled out when the Reels moment hit. Yeah. But you made a big push to try and do it. And your Reels were freaking good. I sent you these DMs. I didn't mean it as like a bash. I was like, your Reels are good. Yeah. I'm pissed at the freaking algorithm for not showing your stupid Reels to people. I was so mad because they were so good, and you're so good on camera. I'm still mad about that, if you can't tell right now. I can tell. I'm so pissed, man. I'm pissed because there are people like you. Good day, Frank. Yeah. So Regan, his Reels right now are so good. I don't know if you've seen them, but highest production quality, great visual effects and stuff. I mean, in the education side, it's all so good, and the algorithm just doesn't give him any love, and it pisses me off so much. No. Okay, so annoying. So what was your journey in that part?
So I'm a bit of a, what has been my journey with Reels? I wanted to make sure, obviously I was like, right, if I'm going to come back at this, I'm going to come back at it with fresh ideas and just come at it with some new energy. And I got a great editor, and it was taking so long. I would script the Reels, then he would edit it, and then you'd post it, and it's like crickets, right? It's like soul destroying. But I kept at it for a very long time. What I come to realize is couple of things. This is what I think. My audience is full of graphic designers that wanted and admired, majority, carousels. That's what the audience is that follows me. They switch off when I'm posting a video. Like the majority of them, they're not interested because they want to be graphic designers. So I don't ever normally get that initial push from the audience, right? That you get when you post something. So then I started playing around with, there's a guy who works for me, Josh. Have you seen Josh's social media?
No.
Mate. You have to go there. You have to look right now. Somewhere Soul.
Right now.
Everybody
I'm
look,
share
right?
my screen for people watching this. I'm going to share my screen as we look up. Josh, I have yours up right now. So, okay, what's Josh's?
So go to Somewhere Soul. Somewhere Soul. Now he has a completely unfair niche, right?
Right here?
Yeah. He was on 10,000. He's now on
819,000.
800. When I say this guy's been working for me and plugging away on his brand for years, and within the last 4 months, mate.
No way.
This is in the last 4 months, mate. Right? And he was like, Dan, you're putting too much high production and you need to mix it up. 15-second ones, a little bit of anticipation and like curiosity, and just shoot on your phone. Don't do high production, just shoot on your phone. And then I'd done a couple with my son and I'd done a couple of whiteboard. Lo and behold, the algorithm popped them off more than what I had been seeing. So now I'm trapped in a dilemma of, well, I have my standards of what I like to post on. I like doing high quality content, but the truth is the platform it's pushing this type of content.
Yeah.
And I'd done it a couple of times. It worked really well, but then I just didn't stay on it because I was focusing on the partnerships.
Yeah. It's interesting. And so another thing about his that I'm looking at is it is a much broader interest group. He's got music curation that puts artistry before algorithms. Music curation touches a whole bigger group of people than Scaling with Dan, who's talking about Google ads and lead generation.
Literally.
So there is something to that.
Yeah. Big time. And the niche is like you say, he's a big on like soul jazz music. He finds the most insane, if like you might say, like, if you've ever thought about listening to Japanese soul or something like that, and then he'll find like tracks from Japanese soul people. So it's a completely unfair niche. He's blown up, but there are some nuances. I.e., you see a lot of people doing the book cover one, right? You go, this book is, the changed my life, and then you kind of play music and you turn to the cover. But he's doing it for records, so he's taking that concept, doing it for records, and it's blowing up. Yeah. Interesting. So really, really interesting case study there, but. I am going to start getting back on content. I don't expect the same results, but I will take some of those. I think sometimes you can take what is working for others in those niches and test, really. I'm going to not be so bloody precious. Not be so bloody precious. But the only thing I would say is clients, I know you shouldn't try and monetize your socials, but I always want to pay off of my time. And coaching was always the payoff of my time, because then I go, well, look, if someone comes to me, I can then coach them. So I'm really going to have to detach myself from an outcome from posting on socials. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, emotionally, you'll give up because the revenue won't equal the effort. And you'll be like, oh, I'm burned out. For me, I decided to say, screw it. I don't really care about the reels and 15-second stuff. I'm going to go and create long form video content. This is what I love the most. I love deeper conversations like this. I started 2 podcasts and I'm focusing on my YouTube audience. That's where my focus is going to be, because I don't want to play the 15-second shoot it from my phone game. That's just not who I am. I want to get into the conversations like this, and I want to get into the meat, and I want to get into the emotions of it, and I want to make the jokes as we chat and make it so human.
Yeah.
And some of that goes away when you're doing 15 seconds. I'm like, screw that, man. If somebody's not going to give me 7 seconds of their time, then I don't want to cater. I'm not going to pander to it. That's where I am. Now, that being said, I'm not dumb. I'm still nurturing my audience, and I am still posting content to my Instagram audience because they're there. The ones that actually get my freaking content, which is just a fraction of the people that actually follow me. But I'm nurturing it until my YouTube scales to a point where I can say, okay, that's my focus. I'm only going to be in YouTube, and the rest of the other channels, I'm not going to chase that down.
The two things, when we worked together, I was running your ads, right? And we was running your course. The two things that I wanted you to do more than anything else, that I just had this vision, was a membership or community, because that's what you care about the most, and YouTube videos, because you're in your bag, dude. When you're doing long form, watch your course. I don't know if anyone's bought your course, but watch that course and watch the value in the course. It's like a university education. Like, it's so sick. I've never seen a course like it since. And I was just like, you have to do that. Like, so
thank you.
I always, when I watch what you're doing, like when you do your events with people and I'm just like, yes, Janda, I love it. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
My community came from your push, just so you know. Because that was November. I started it in March of last year. And November last year is when you were coming at me saying, I really think that this is the model for you, and this is where a lot of things are going. And you planted that seed in my brain that festered for like 3 months before I was like, all right, screw it. I'll freaking do it. I was resistant because I don't like to give up my alleged freedom. I didn't want to be on the hook to answer the questions. I didn't want to be like, okay, if people are paying me for a paid community, I don't want to, and now I have to show up. Now I have to answer their questions. Now I have to do the live session for the people who are paying me. But man, it took me all of like 2 weeks from the time I launched to realize, oh man, I should have started this like a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I freaking love it so much because like you noticed and you pushed me, it is at the heart of who I am and want to be, in the relationship I want to have with the people that I'm connected to, that I'm mentoring. That's what I want. So thank you for recognizing that and pushing me down that path. It made a difference.
I'm just buzzing. I'm going to snip this up and just say, like I did that. I did not.
You did, man. I can give you the credit. You did push me. You pushed me. You planted that seed and pushed, and that's what it takes sometimes. We got to have people like that in our lives. Like I told you, you didn't listen to me, but you're on the freaking racehorse. Run the race, man. But you're seeing it now, and you're back on the racehorse, and you are generating the better revenue than you were before. We oftentimes need somebody to look at it from outside perspective to see what we're really doing. And I think that that's where this mentoring and coaching and just friendships, entrepreneurial friendships, can make a big difference in our lives.
I like that. Entrepreneurial friendships. Yeah, because a lot of the time it comes with attachments, right? You have to buy something, or like, I think there's an element you have to pay sometimes for access, because otherwise, I mean, I remember buying your coaching, and when I first saw how much your coaching was, I was like, I couldn't have paid any faster, because everyone else that I tried to get agency coaching for was a 15 grand program or it's something insane. And when Dane said to me, because it was Dane, he's like, you can book him in his calendar, pay 100. I was like, what? And I was like, that's insane. And that's kind of what it developed. Then you became a client of me. And we tried to make it work with the course.
You did make it work. I mean, I don't have any regrets from that era. You did make it work. We tweaked all the knobs. The challenges were the saturation in marketing of the webinar to email funnel to drip sell courses. That was a saturated model, and we were a year and a half late in that model. That's all it was. It wasn't, I mean, your team and you, the freaking strategy, the execution, the monitoring, the tools and everything connected, and Zapier and the text messaging. I mean, all of the pieces. I was like, this is freaking crazy. Like, nobody goes to this level of detail on the multi-pronged marketing approach, but your team did. So I think that's, and financially it was working. It just wasn't generating 30 grand a month. And so for both of us, it was like, okay, we're making a lot of effort into X revenue. Is this worth continuing? That's all that it got to.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that about the team, because sometimes I have no reference, right? When I really first started, I hired an agency to do stuff from years ago. I have no real reference to how other teams work. And I do genuinely, I know everyone says that they care, but like, I really make sure that we have invested interest in your business, especially if it's a partnership, because there's no way, like, we'll hold you more accountable to your goals than you will. Like, a lot of, not you, but just in general, that's the way I see it. Your goals become our goals. So, we do try and like move or at least get eyes on every single moving piece so that we can have an influence. Which I don't
let me give you a
soundbite.
Let me give you a soundbite for that. I know thousands of marketers. I've worked with and employed hundreds of marketers and creatives, and I've never seen another agency, even my own, that took such a detailed, multi-pronged approach to digital marketing. The ads to the webinar or to the free course or to the lead magnet, dripping into the 17 email funnel, not the 3 email funnel that's going to allegedly sell your stuff. This was like 17 emails dripped over 3 months of time with yes, no decision trees on did they buy, did they not buy, and then funneling them into the new version as a result. Nobody's doing it at that level, man, but you guys were. So I'm still impressed to this day. And I'm glad to know that you're attracting and doing that type of work for the higher ticket people, because that's where you should be for the level of skill set that you guys have.
That was a problem. And I'd bought, Janda, loads of I jumped on some other agency. You know, like you have doubts we always have doubts, right, as humans, as entrepreneurs. But I have a huge amount of lack of belief in myself. I always have. I don't know where it comes from. I tried to explore it with all sorts of I don't know. It's just there, right? I often need someone to. It's weird because I won't stop, and I'm highly competitive, but I make it painful for myself because I don't believe in myself. I always wonder how far I could go if I did. But
let me describe you, just so you know. Because I describe myself this way. I'm the most arrogant, insecure person that there ever was. I feel the same as you. I'm like so insecure and filled with self-doubt on one hand. But on the other hand, I'm so massively competitive that I know I'm going to win at whatever I decide to win at. And if I decide to win in this, then everybody else is going to lose because I'm so competitive. I just have the freaking yin yang on that. I'm so competitively arrogant and so massively insecure at the same time.
Man, that is so true.
Do you feel that way?
Man,
do you feel that way?
That is literally it.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass though, man.
Yeah, it is.
How do you manage it? Like, how do you get your
stuff down the insecure person.
Yeah.
So if you talk about I don't have split personalities, but if you talked about it like I had 2 personalities, my competitive, arrogant version of me is constantly just stuffing down that insecure person, saying, stop bothering me. I'm going to do this. Get out of my way. That's what I feel like happens inside of my psyche.
How often self-talk? Because mine is
every freaking day, man. Every day.
I would say the balance between mine is I probably think the insecure doubter wins most battles on a daily basis. And I have to use up a lot of energy, a lot of mental space to get myself in states where I'm like, no, come on, let's do it. Like, that's why I like training so much or doing challenges, because I like taking myself to the place where I have to show up because I know he's there. I have to. So I present those days, like I have to go and train hard in the morning because I know he has to appear, and then that filters through my day. If I wake up, if I have a lay in, mate, I'm telling you right now, if I have a lay in or I eat junk food all day, man, or if I go drinking and the hangover, that guy will be out waving his flag, battering me, just like, you loser, you're crap, you're no good. So it's interesting how you've put it together, though. That I would agree with that.
Yeah, the arrogant competitive side of you had you do the triathlon a few years ago. I remember when you were training for the triathlon. And then I remember you saying, I'm selling my bike after it was over. I'm selling my bike and I'm never doing another one.
I've never been on a bike since. I went on my first bike the other day. I literally done an Ironman and then sold my bike. The guy that come to collect it, because I sold it within 2 weeks of doing my Ironman. I never get on a bike or a triathlon again. And he was like, man, look, what? I kept giving him stuff. I was like, here's the base for, you can spin indoors. He was like, mate, I'm not going to pay. I was like, don't worry. It's like, he left with like the bike and all of these goodies. I'm like, never touching a bike again. But I snapped my Achilles, right?
No, I didn't know that. When did that happen?
Feb this year. So I started playing vets football again, and I was loving it. And I snapped my Achilles tendon. Heard it snap during the game. It's like a gunshot. It's horrible. So I had this big cast on my foot for. I've just come out of it, maybe like 2 weeks, and my mental headspace, mate, just because I couldn't train and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I had a surgery, and the uncertainty of it, man, was just sent me down a spiral. And then, so it just showed me again, like, how important that element of my life is, of like staying fit, healthy, training. That's almost the trigger for me to show up how I do. So I have to have that habit in. But luckily, after 2 weeks, I was able to get back in the gym. But I was hobbling around the gym in my big boot. Just training upper body or doing what I can, just again to stay in that. Beat that other guy down.
To now?
Sorry?
Walking okay? Running yet? What's your...
No running. I'm walking. I haven't got to wear the boot. I've got to wear a raised heel in my trainer. My calf looks like a chicken wing. It was skinny anyway, but it's like non-existent. And I'm walking slowly, very slowly. But it's a savage injury. Really bad.
Yeah.
Really savage.
That's age, man. It's age. It's sad.
I know.
Oh, it's sad.
And here's the thing: this one will hit you. I was due to go snowboarding 2 days after. And
you told me you guys, you're like, your whole family was addicted to it, your kids and everything, right? You guys,
So I was about to go, and then I had that, and I was like, I can't do it.
Oh no! So you missed the whole season.
Missed everything. I managed to go Courchevel at Christmas. That was cool.
Yeah, that's good.
That was cool.
That's good. Well, this has been super fun, man. I could podcast with you for days, for sure. Congrats on the journey. You're doing so much, so good. So when you feel down on yourself or the insecure version shows up, man, just you're freaking the service level that you guys provide, the attention and care of the clients, and finally the revenue is matching the investment, the personal investment level that you've put into your agency. Just makes me so happy for you. You deserve it.
Thanks, Janda, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you more. Honestly, I think, and I will say this, I want to say to your face, is like, out of all of the people that I've met online in this world and Instagram and guys, you have had the biggest impact, I would say. And you are the most genuine, authentic person. Like how you show up when we're on meetings, on mentoring, on social, you're the person that is the most consistent with them. And I think people need to know that. And it's not often. And I've met a lot of people in this space, and you are one of, if not the realest out there. So I appreciate you, mate. And anything you ever need from me, I'm here.
Of course. Thank you. And likewise, anything you ever need from me, you know I'm here. I'm in your corner, man. Legend. Thank you. All right. Where can people find you? Gravity7.uk.
Just go to my Instagram and see that I'm not posting, but Danny Allen Page. on Instagram and on YouTube.
Great. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. We'll put your bio and description in there so you can just jump into the links down below. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this conversation on What the Helvetica, talking with Danielle and Paige. It's been super fun, and we'll see you all next time.
Cheers.